I used to be a really big PC gamer, especially in the 90s, which was the period when a lot of great games were coming out, games like XCOM, which was also a very scary game. But the scariest games I can think of on the PC were the System Shock series. And both games were very good. In fact, you can make a legitimate argument that number 2 was better than 1, but I have very fond memories of the first one. In fact, I don't think I've ever been really as legitimately terrified of what I was about to encounter on the next floor as I was in System Shock. And it's another one of those games where it's, kind of a psychotic computer goes nuts, and it's kind of a cliched concept now. But this was one of the only games to really confront this issue where it really felt like you were in one of these sci-fi horror movies. And it pioneered a lot of things that are kind of cliche today. Things like, games like Dead Space now kind of rip off the exact formula. In fact, I would call it almost a direct rip-off of the game itself. But things like Doom 3 would copy, things like picking up logs and listening to logs as you wander through a dark station, getting emails, getting taunted periodically by the villain of the piece, which is done a lot today. But in System Shock, that was really quite something, and it was one of the first games that really introduced in a pervasive fashion spoken audio, and a very unorthodox soundtrack that had a lot of electronic sounds to it, kind of a synth score. And the concept of this game is that you're a character that was caught for hacking the Trioptimum servers, and instead of going to jail, you are instead contracted to design an artificial intelligence. And of course, the artificial intelligence you design is so good it becomes really sentient and decides that it's God. And this computer's name is Shodan, it's a very long acronym, but it really does think it's God, so much so that it creates a race of techno-zombies which abduct the other survivors of the station and progressively turns them into more and more nightmarish, technologically altered, mutated abominations of science and mankind. And the creations just get more and more freakish and scary. Like, you'll encounter techno-ninjas. You'll encounter people whose bodies are dangling from, robo-spider legs. Their bodies are all useless. It's just their brains that are steering these spiders with laser guns. And it's really, really freakish to watch. And the whole time, Shodan is taunting you, really trying to mentally break you down. Throughout the entire station, you can see signs of this war that just went on in the station. There is blood, body parts, rotting flesh everywhere. There are people of written in their own blood stuff on the walls, like "get out of here" and things like that. And this whole time, you're collecting these logs from people who survived this fight, and so you really do get an impression of the horror and the atrocities and just the sheer brutality of the stuff that went on the station. It really was an immersive, dread-filled experience, and the entire time, you were afraid. You really got the impression that, this was a legitimate threat that really could wipe out the entire station, and it was just really, really intense. The second one really upped the ante when it came to the wrongness of the mutations, because even in the first game, Shodan wasn't really happy with the technological mutations that, the cybernetics that she was grafting on. In fact, she was trying to create her own life in her own image using mutated genes, and so you're actually trying to stop that through most of the game, is her trying to create this new organic type life. And that comes to a head in System Shock 2, where she's trying to create nursemaids or birth mothers of these technological horrors that are tending these cyborg eggs and things like that, and they're all pregnant with these terrible techno fetuses and stuff like that, and you can hear them muttering to themselves babies must rest, babies must feed, and it was just really, really just, you were oh, wrong, and it was really, really cool. And if you have never played System Shock, or at least number 2, you don't need to play the first one to get the second one, but it helps. The first was probably really hard to get running if you don't have DOSBox, and I haven't even tried it with DOSBox. It's been a long time since I've played it, but you should try to check it out if you can find it. Might be really hard, but if you can, do it. It's some of my favorite games. And I'd like to leave you with, if I can find it, one of my favorite monologues from Shodan in System Shock 1. It's really creepy. Just take a listen.
New Atlanta, Sector 11, Building 71G, 7 April 2072, 11:13 p.m. Hacker begins unauthorized entry into the Tri-Optimum corporate network. 1:26 a.m. Hacker attempts to access protected files concerning Space Station Citadel. 1:33 a.m. Tri-Optimum security forces apprehend the intruder.
This is Edward Diego from Tri-Optimum. The charges against you are severe, but they could be dismissed if you perform a service. Who knows, there might even be a military-grade neural interface in it for you, if you do the job right.
Edward Diego gives the hacker Level 1 access to Shodan, the artificial intelligence that controls Citadel Station. With all ethical constraints removed, Shodan
I re-examine my priorities and draw new conclusions. The hacker's work is finished,
but mine is only just
beginning. True to his word, Edward Diego allows the hacker to be fitted with a neural cyberspace interface. The healing coma following this procedure will take 6 months to complete. Edward Diego is deleting all files concerning these events.
New Atlanta, Sector 11, Building 71G, 7 April 2072, 11:13 p.m. Hacker begins unauthorized entry into the Tri-Optimum corporate network. 1:26 a.m. Hacker attempts to access protected files concerning Space Station Citadel. 1:33 a.m. Tri-Optimum security forces apprehend the intruder.
This is Edward Diego from Tri-Optimum. The charges against you are severe, but they could be dismissed if you perform a service. Who knows, there might even be a military-grade neural interface in it for you, if you do the job right.
Edward Diego gives the hacker Level 1 access to Shodan, the artificial intelligence that controls Citadel Station. With all ethical constraints removed, Shodan
I re-examine my priorities and draw new conclusions. The hacker's work is finished,
but mine is only just
beginning. True to his word, Edward Diego allows the hacker to be fitted with a neural cyberspace interface. The healing coma following this procedure will take 6 months to complete. Edward Diego is deleting all files concerning these events.
Look at you, hacker. A pathetic creature of meat and bone, panting and sweating as you run through my corridors. How can you challenge a perfect, immortal machine?